Teams need to identify their identity. That's what gave EUnited the win in game number 1. That's what gave SoaR the win in game number 2. That's what gave Rival the victory over Energy in the European finals. This whole weekend has been about what does your team do better than the other? What is your team good at? And right now, SoaR identified that in game number 2. Homiefe is a hard carry. Andy is a hard carry. Give them the tools they can. Give them the tools they need in order to provide that for the team. On the other side, when you're looking at EUnited, you got to let everybody pick whatever eclectic god they want, whatever comes deep out of the pocket. This team is all about unique composition and unique synergy. EUnited needs to pull that one out. SoaR needs to empower their powerful players. We'll head to picks and bans for the final matchup here of our North American winners and see who winds up number 1. EUnited has the first pick and, of course, the first ban.
And this, I'd imagine, would probably just be the same sort of thing where you can expect the Kabrakan ban to come through, potentially even a Terra ban. And I know that we haven't been seeing too much of Terra bans recently, but I just feel as though the global presence that she can provide with her ultimate is just too annoying to handle. But I do like the option, the respect ban of Scylla from Andinster. It's on point.
Immediate. Like I said, I mean, yeah, you can show me the graphs and you can be as political as you want. Andy won that game.
There's just too many kill things she can do. It's like with Ra, as I said earlier, it's really like the thing you're scared about is the snipe. With Scylla, it's like one poly, her 2 chunks, her ult can one-shot you. If that keeps going, it's more than one ult.
Yeah, you're able to just destroy the competition. First pick from EUnited. Khaos can play Ra. Well, actually, SoaR has a ban first, but Khaos can play Ra. Do you think that that's the choice? Do you pick Ra for your mid lane to take it away from Andy?
I would say no, just because when I think of Ra, it's like I don't really think of Khaos. I'm not saying he's a bad Ra, but he won't have the high impact that Andy, and I'd rather just get Khaos someone who's more comfortable gods, because when that happens, he's less equal or more impact than Andy, or can be at least.
And we've seen it time and time again where meta isn't necessarily the go-to for a LAN environment especially, and on the opposite spectrum you've got SoaR with the same respect ban for the Zhang Kui. Khaos, no can do.
Yeah, it's just too disruptive, just gonna mess up all of what you want to do in the team fight.
You take a shot at me, I'll take a shot at you. That's pretty much what they're SoaR's thinking right now.
General Pain right now talking a mile a minute. That, of course, is your captain and your support for EUnited, notoriously known for his ability to lead this team to victory. Can he win can he find a game 3 is the question.
One guy that is currently on the table, however, is the Susanoo. And I know that it's a strong pick, and I was about to mention the Skadi as well.
Yeah.
PandaCat, he's ready to go again.
Listen, man, I respect, in fact, I love Khaos' Zhang Kui. I'm more afraid of Panda Skadi.
What do you guys think right here? Would you rather take Susanoo or Hunbats for EUnited?
If I'm EUnited, I think I want to take Susanoo over Hunbats, knowing that Varizial is not only a strong Susanoo in his own right as an assassin, but with a character like Skadi, you're literally never escaping Panda if he has the pull available as well as the knockup.
Plus, it's the most annoying thing in the world when you're trying to deal with the setup from Susanoo, and your escape is only leading you into the slip and slide of death from the Skadi permafrost.
There's very few worse feelings than being pulled onto a Skadi as to be like, I didn't even want to run this way.
Exactly. I positioned far away from this. Why am I locked down all of a sudden? So if I'm EUnited, I think I definitely want to lean towards that Susanoo. But there's, of course, 4 other positions that need to be filled as well. So we'll see if that comes before or after the second ban phase.
With Fafnir and Terra already being picked up by SoaR, I wouldn't be surprised to see Benji elect for a solo lane pick pretty early on in the top 3 banning phase. Typically, it's more convenient for your solo laner to have a 4th, 5th picked kind of area. But if he just goes ahead and picks up something right now, he might have the possibility to get the Bellona that we saw him have a lot of success on early on. He could potentially look to try and make an Amaterasu happen even.
A lot of discussion from EUnited using a lot of that bank time. That's why you see the timer on 0. Teams do have extra time in the back to spread across their picks and bans. Thor and Agni will be the selections here coming out for EUnited. I like this. The Thor is twofold. Varizial is not a bad Thor by any stretch of the imagination, and of course Homiefe, one of the best. And the Agni also going to provide a lot of control. Between Thor and Agni, long-range stuns abound.
A lot of poke, but the big thing is when I think these 2 players, these are the exact gods I think of. It's just, they're just nuts on them. That's the only way to put it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think Agni right now is not out of the meta, but on the outskirts per se.
He's always hovering on like being really good.
He's a mage with a dash. I mean, like at the end of the day, that's always going to be valuable. And a long-range stun is something that I personally value very, very highly. Agni on Khaos, however, shifts even closer to the middle, I think, of being a valuable pick.
You just need the discipline as a mid laner in order to proficiently utilize all of Agni's kit. If you play it too aggressively early on, then you end up dying from mid lane creeps or just the enemy team deciding to fully commit to you. But on the other hand, if you play it too far back, then you still get taken advantage of, except it's your whole team going down with you.
One thing that I really do love about Agni is the itemization around him. One, Bancroft has changed and you get a lot more lifesteal. I think Agni works off of that very well. And two, perhaps more importantly, actually definitely more importantly, is the change to Spear of the Magus. Between Agni's first ability, Noxious Fumes, being a dot, and his passive being a dot, boom, boom, you're stacking up that spear to 5 ASAP, especially when you are so adept at using the passive like a player like Khaos. That spear is free penetration. Love the way that interacts.
And Agni Thor are also a really good combo for really two reasons. Both of them have a stun, so if Thor tosses out a stun, he wands, that gets Agni one bomb, then he gets toss another bomb. That's another stun on that second bomb, that's a third bomb. Very few characters can actually set up Agni to stun 3 bombs, and you can't really be, I don't believe you can be DR'd past 0.5 seconds, and that's Agni's stun, so if you toss it out at the end, don't worry about DRs.
Incredible stuff, so that's what we're going to be looking for. Big, heavy focus on EUnited's mid lane jungle synergy and how that walks away. SoaR Gaming, they're going to ban out Bologna out of the solo lane. No choice there for EUnited's Benji. And the Hunbats, I think that's a very important ban to come out of EUnited.
I like the Bologna ban a lot, not only because Benji did very well on it, because when we're on 2s, Bologna just disarms it. You lose a lot of your steroid, and that's the entire ability.
Exactly. So Bologna, one of the stronger characters with that in mind. Last ban coming out for SoaR Gaming. Discussing it just a little bit. Homiefe on the screen, trying to figure out what god he wants to play in the jungle. And so making sure they don't ban it.
I'd imagine it'd be another jungle shot by EUnited to ensure that Homiefe is as uncomfortable as possible.
Homie asked his team to ban Odin so he wouldn't have to play it.
Yeah, I was really thinking SoaR would be banning, even though Benji didn't have a strong showing on Osiris last game, he's just a good god, and I really was thinking they were going to pick him.
Really? So Osiris is a very controversial god. Some people think that he's fantastic. Other people think that he literally does nothing. Why do you like Osiris so much?
I'll just say this. There was a point in time where me and Kiki got 1v2 by Cyclone in lane when he was Osiris. It was not a pleasant thing.
And since that moment, you've hated Osiris.
I'm
scarred for life.
Pretty much.
Well, Ra will be the choice for Andinster.
That explains the Odin ban all the way, and Andy on Raw. This is a great matchup and definitely one to look out for, because not only are both of these mid laners getting gods that they feel incredibly comfortable on, but both of these gods also have such team distinguishing capabilities, because Andy could do the sustain factor, but we know that he likes to go for damage, and we've seen him plenty of times pick up those picks, and as long as he's utilizing his snipe efficiently, I think that's very scary for EUnited.
That's what it is for me. Very rarely do you see this team go for the sustain when it comes to Ra. It's really all about the straight damage. That's what you got to be afraid of from Andy's Ra, and the numbers are just so scary. I got audibly mad the other day when they let Ra through for Andinster. I'm looking at the Susato ban. I respect that. I think Hunbats is a character that EUnited would be able to play around, and I would have much rather saw the Ra ban instead of the Hunbats.
I don't know if I agree with that, because if you look at SoaR's comp right now, they have Terra. They have pretty far-range stuns. If you ever get your beads blown just out of fear of like, oh, I get Fafnir hammered, and I get Raw sniped, what are you going to do in that Hoombots and that Raw snipe actually does come out?
You know what? When you're right, you're right. I think you've got a point right there. Still, Ra going to be very scary. Need to touch on the Hercules here. Benji, when he first came on the scene, now we know him for a number of gods, Amaterasu, Bologna, Osiris. Benji, when he first came on the scene, Hercules was the guy. That's what Benji played. He's kicking it old school and bringing it back. Thanatos is the selection for Homiefe in the jungle. This is one of his favorite pocket picks.
You finally got your Thanatos pick, and my guy, I mean, that is a pretty intimidating pick considering that it's Homiefe who's piloting it.
I love the Thanatos pick here. It's the anti-Thor, chases him down with the semi-global, shuts down the spin to win, also gets to be able to heal himself up. Hercules, well, he's unkillable. Guess what? You got to bring him down to 40% HP to find the execute. SoaR Gaming, EUnited. It's the rubber match. The winner takes it all. Let's bring it to Hindu and Aggro.
The winner indeed does take it all. The big issue for me here is the EUnited have invested a lot into Homiefe in the counterban phase here, focusing on the Hunbats and the Susano, but by doing that, it's Andinster gets his Ra. They think it's all Homiefe. Everyone at home may be thinking that Andinster Ra could be an issue.
I don't know, man. I mean, I get the Susano ban. He's been unbelievable all weekend long. I like that idea. But yeah, this Ra, I don't know. Like the Hunbats, you're going to give Homiefe something. The Thanatos, I'm not super pleased with if you're a SoaR fan because we've only seen Homiefe play it once so far here this weekend, and he didn't look good on it at all. And so you are probably a little nervous at home if you're rooting for SoaR, but overall, I'm happy because Andinster got on Ra. You've got excellent front line and excellent peel. Ram there for Vetium as well that he's very, very comfortable on. I like this draft quite a bit from SoaR.
Take Rama out of the equation then. Every other god that SoaR have picked up here has sustained. Coerce sustains the Jigz and the Fafnir. You've also got Homiefe with the Scythes. He's also going to be able to sustain back up. Then you've got Terra. Well, Wrath of Terra as well as the Monolith. And don't forget, there's still a Ra to talk about as well. So anti-heal is going to be so important for EUnited in this game unless they get off to a really good start.
But that's a good thing for EUnited that anti-heal is going to be important because they've got a lot of gods that can build into anti-heal very, very effectively. PainDeViande has anti-heal on that Belch already. Khaos on Agni. Agni, one of the best gods to build Divine Ruin on because you can easily apply it to multiple members from a distance.
PandaCat.
And then, of course, PandaCat can build. He's always building brawlers on Skadi. Varizial is always building brawlers basically on Thor. A lot of easy options for that anti-heal.
Dashing from Khaos there, looking to clear the wave. Gets a bit of aggro from Homiefe and those minions there, so gets chunked a little bit, but he'll sustain back up. On the left-hand side, though, SoaR wanted to do the red buff at the start of this game. PainDeViande hung around there a little bit to slow them down, which means this whole wave will get into the tower before SoaR reach it. The question is, how many minions do they lose? They're going to lose the purple buff, that's for sure, giving EUnited an edge in this duo lane.
They only lost one minion in terms of experience, but a lot in terms of gold. On the right, it looks like EUnited going to be able to strip away the enemy blue buff from fineokay, who's gone for the mana chalice. He understands that he's not getting a whole lot of mana buffs this weekend.
And EUnited's the game they won in game one was all focused on the right-hand side of this jungle, controlling both the speed buffs, both the blue buffs over and over again, gave them an insurmountable lead that SoaR couldn't get back from.
Homiefe and Andinster are going to respond with an invade of their own, this time on the red. Homie in a bad spot here, I think, but Khaos, only level 2, not going to be able to stun him out.
More than likely, he won't have the stun available for him here. Would have gone for the flame wave, I expect, so Homiefe needs some support from his duo lane there. Flopping from PainDeViande though, and Jigz is going to get caught too. Luckily enough, PainDeViande did not have the chug available to provide the stun required.
But it doesn't matter because Homie beads anyways. Didn't know that he wasn't going to get stunned in that scenario. The Death Scythe was way off the mark there from Homie, and then the silence way too early. He could have just silenced out that Belch if he would have been more patient.
Well, SoaR will get the purple buff on the left-hand side here, especially with Homiefe still around on this Thanatos, which in the grand scheme of things tells you that EUnited is still winning in terms of buff control, but Homie is still here, and Pain does not know. Does
have that leap available whenever it's time to go. There it is. The Death Scythe actually going to hit PandaCat. Love the change of pace there from Homie. Everyone's thinking that Death Scythe's heading for Pain, but instead hits the Hunter who's just standing there watching. Didn't find the win they were looking for there. EUnited still have their own speed and blue to take at the moment. Benji's going to get his own blue buff after also absorbing fineokay's Terra's blue buff earlier on. And Varizial making good use of the speed that he stole away by not taking his own, so he can continue having his speed. But Homie is back to the duel lane again. And Panda's trying to back. There is a full wave here, but Homie's just here to farm it up. Homie really spends more time in this dual lane in the early game than any other North American hunter, I would say. Maybe DJ Pernicus at times where he will end up dual laning with Zapman, but we've seen Homiefe and Vetium really spend a lot of time together early on, just trying to get Homie enough guaranteed farm to carry him into the mid game. Khaos doing the back harpies with Varizial now. Khaos starting off with a Vampiric Shroud. It's been a long time since I got to say that word for a while. Did get some love over time, so it's a little bit more sustained from this item. Exactly, that's what it's all about. Extra HP and that magical life steal, and Agni definitely can make use of this passive. You can get a lot of big damage off in terms of AoE by hitting multiple members with your bombs. You can see the tiny trinket also contributing that lifesteal there for Khaos, giving him a little bit more survivability in the matchup. And a lot of times you'll see him go into Bancroft's Talon with this tiny trinket, which synergizes very, very well with Agni, where you can aggressively dash in, lose a lot of your health bar in the process, but then your Flame Wave, your bombs, they're all doing more damage because of the Bancroft's passive.
Well, not a big lead for EUnited now in terms of gold experience. You can see the level difference between these teams now. It's a small lead for EUnited as they have pressured the right-hand side. Their players, Benji, Varizial, and Khaos, are ever so slightly ahead of that of the SoaR trio that we talk about that they're up against. But the duo lane is actually even right now.
Surprisingly enough, Vetium and Jigz have been able to hang on, this time securing their own red buff and likely their purple buff as well. Benji just using the ultimate there and try and clear the wave and also return a little bit of extra damage.
It also keeps them both busy in this lane too, wondering if there's a gank coming in. At the same time as the speed and blue have spawned from EUnited, sorry, from SoaR, I should say. EUnited are now in position to try and invade, knowing that Homiefe and fineokay both took a lot of damage there.
Varizial just going to land on the speed to guarantee it goes the way of EUnited. Speed is up and ready to go, and Andy does have that Searing Pain potentially to steal it away.
Hammer from Jigz, no follow-up really as Andinster throws out the line. Nuke doesn't find any follow-up. Has the snipe available to try and steal this way if he wants to, but just a tip catches, and it's not enough to bring down the buff. Varizial steals the speed again.
Too early there out of Andinster, and this pressure put onto the right side jungle of EUnited working thus far.
Meanwhile, in mid lane, the wave has already been pushed out by SoaR, so there's not a whole lot for them to do as EUnited come back to find a whole minion wave waiting for them. Can pick that one up as on the left-hand side, PandaCat will secure the red buff.
So once upon a time, if Thanatos was this far behind in terms of experience or damage, we'd all be saying, oh, this game's over because Thanatos doesn't do anything in the mid to late game. But I think we've all matured a little bit and understand the game, and we can really, Thanatos can bring stuff into the mid to late game very, very easily. Percent damage on his Death Scythe as well as just the base damage on top of it, and then that execute scaling up as the game goes on to execute players at a higher and higher threshold. Homiefe has not gotten off to a great start, but that's not the end of the world right now.
I was a little bit concerned for SoaR about how they were going to bring down that Hercules as this game went on, but luckily enough they drafted the Thanatos towards the end, which is enough of a window for them to try and bring him down when they get low. Yes, they've got a bit of burst damage on their squad with Andinster, but there's not more than that, unless you look, I guess, towards Vetium.
Especially when you consider that there isn't a meditation right now on EUnited. Benji could pick it up, but he's gone for Thorns the last 2 games, I believe, as that second relic. Pain really seems to like this sprint early on. Basically the only support we've seen consistently not go meditation.
That mobility really comes into play, but it does answer back what Terra brings as well with that Wrath of Terra available to her for the global ability for her team. The problem is that Pain's pretty much going to hold that until he hears the sirens of Wrath of Terra going off.
But either way, it doesn't cleanse slows it cleanses slows, but it doesn't prevent slows anymore. So if Andinster can use his slow, Vetium, if someone gets hit by Jigz' hammer and spreads out that slow, you're still going to be slowed through that sprint.
Oh, that double tap did so much, and Varial's going to have a little giggle at Homiefe's expense there. But Homie will be able to heal back up with Raw, as well as one scythe on these minions will allow him to heal up, unless, they kill all the minions as quick as they did.
Everyone just is having a grand old time here, laughing, taunting, all this kind of stuff. Really fun to see a couple of teams who just really want to beat one another, not only because it's, normal to want to beat your opponent, but on a really personal level.
I just want to see the handshakes and the hugs at the end of the game and see if Benji gets any. That's what I'm after seeing. Whoever wins here, that's the question. I'm pretty sure, though, if SoaR win, they will hug Benji and be like, congratulations on joining a losing team.
That sounds like something Jigz would say.
I could see that happening.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, if SoaR do lose this one, I don't think Benji's going to get any love for a while.
I doubt it. And you know what? There's some good times for that. It doesn't have to all be fun and games here. I think that it's good for the scene to have these rivalries start to develop.
Yeah, we had rivalries for a while, but then EU won everything. So it's nice to get some new rivalries on the cards again. And talk about EU winning everything. Well, Energy didn't win everything today, as we normally would have expected to see after winning the World Championships twice. They fell down to Rival right now, who are the new name on the block to talk about from Europe.
Actually ending the winning streak of energy at land. Varizial up into the sky looking for Homiefe, but he's also up in the sky. Andinster is going to be the target.
Andinster is the target, but Homie has already picked up PainDeViande. Andinster's still alive at the backside. The sustain comes through to keep him topped up. Benji's boulder will not hit him, and Varizial's running for his life now. Needs a hammer to get away. The wall will buy him a moment. fineokay still giving chase with the Wrath of Terra, and 2 more members in tow.
Varizial knows that he's in a lot of trouble. There's the stun and the death sight that Homie gets his own chance to laugh there as Varizial falls despite getting the speed buff.
And Homiefe, if you remember, was behind in this game early on against Varizial. He's caught up a little bit, getting 2 kills to a Thanatos in the early game. It is still early game, and he might even be looking for number 3.
Benji here. There's a nice driving strike on to Homiefe. No real CC to set up for Homie with the death sights, but he hits it anyways. Plucked back in. Benji almost finds the kill onto Homie.
The archers don't want to play, but Benji's got driving strike any moment now. Picks up the regurgitate just so we continue on. Sorry, the actual mitigate wounds. I don't know why I said regurgitate there, but Pain cleans up the kill.
Either way, with that
made me feel
belly
sick.
flop,
I couldn't help
Benji, man, taking the 3v1 and turning it around onto Homiefe. Really impressive play once more. And as F. said on the desk, this is the god that he really started to make his name on early in his career.
But outside of the execute and outside of a snipe from Andinster, that's the issue you're going to have against this Hercules. Where is the burst going to come down to bring him down? Because you can't whittle down the health of a Hercules.
I think the big thing is that Benji could get rooted by fineokay, and then once Vetium gets some items online, Rama is one of the best tank shredders there is, especially whenever a tank like that is locked in place. Something I just noticed, by the way, is Varizial's gone for Death's Toll on Thor. You just assume that Thor is going for Bluestone Pendant every single game.
Sure.
But this gives him a little bit more sustain, a little bit more power, and some health as well, but not giving him that extra damage on the abilities.
It might be the health just to deal with eating the potential scythe or 2 coming out from Homiefe, I think, more often than not. But it does reduce the damage by a little bit, especially because of those double taps are just so impactful with the addition of a Bluestone.
Once the Hydra's Lament comes online, it's gonna help without the damage there a little bit, give you a little bit of a very slight amount of sustain whenever you get those Hydra's procs off on the enemy gods. But I think you're right. It really comes down to the extra health the Death Toll gives you in the matchup up against Thanatos.
Keep an eye on the gold lead, though, that EUnited still hold after invading early on. The experience is also in their favor, too. Yes, SoaR did pick up a couple of kills for themselves at the start of this onto Homiefe, but it's still not enough to give them a lead right now. Both teams playing this very tentatively at the 10-minute mark. We had a lot more kills in the last 2 games, both realizing how important this game is.
Yeah, game 1 at 10 minutes, what was it, 6-4 in kills? There was a kill a minute. Right now we've got 3 on the board, but plenty of action, at least in terms of buff invades and things of that nature.
Benji just continues to farm away in this lane. He's not gone for his second relic just yet after hitting level 12, but Varizial's up again, looking towards SoaR's speed.
Homiefe, no beads right now. Varizial's looking for it, but just too far away. That silence almost catches him, but the hammer does. The snipe is good as well, and Varizial does not get executed. The meditation there was good.
fineokay cleans it up with the pickup of the monolith as well, and the dot damage there. 1 kill down as once again Jigz jumps in as Khaos dashes away. EUnited of the aggressors, EUnited paid the price.
Actually, I don't know what healed Varizial up there. There is no meditation on the side of EUnited.
He wasn't in execute range just yet.
He jumped up out of execute range. I thought I saw it over top of the Aegis. Either way, he falls in the end. Doesn't really matter.
Meanwhile, PandaCat has trapped Vetium into a very awkward spot. This roll's going to be perfect. The PainDeViande flop wasn't, but Khaos will take the kill away from the hunt. It's not all doom and gloom as long as he goes down. That's the main thing. But would you rather have seen that on PandaCat?
Not really. Panda has a lead already in that lane. He's got to level up on Vetium right now. Let's get Khaos back into this game a little bit closer to that of Andinster. Plus, in the mid, it's all about hitting that level 12 mark as fast as possible, specifically in the mid lane. PandaCat already has a second relic ready to go as soon as he backs. Khaos needs a little bit more farm to get there.
Well, after the 10-minute mark, the Gold Fury becomes more and more tempting for these 2 teams, so keep an eye around those oracles there that are always hotly contested, specifically in Europe, but as well, North America recognize how much a free ward and free experience is worth.
Especially with these semi-global ultimates between Thanatos and Thor, where they really want to take up from the Gold Fury pit and dunk you down from there. Just having that free vision that can't be countered, really, really easy to make sure that you're safe in that lane.
Khaos just took a trip back to base on the Agni, has the Bancross Talon now online, so some extra sustain for him, as well as damage output for the Agni. One of the classic go-to items for Agni on years gone past. But recently, we've not seen too much of Bancroft until the buffs came through.
Exactly. Just a little bit more lifesteal, a little bit more on that passive. So you know Khaos, like I mentioned earlier on, you can dash in, play aggressively, lose some of your HP, and then really start to turn that damage back on its head.
But look at SoaR's items at the moment. Look at the consumables there. 3 sentries and plenty of normal wards as well. Varizial's caught out in an awkward spot there. Didn't actually have to beads away because he didn't have them available either as he went Aegis. So he manages to get out of danger just in time.
Khaos saves the life of his jungler there with the bomb stun onto Homiefe. Couldn't quite get around the corner in time to silence out Varizial, hit him with the Death Scythe, and get him down into that XQ range. Aegis still not off cooldown from that engagement by the enemy speed buff, so the Khaos there saves the life of his jungler.
Both teams have a very decent late game as well. Like, both sides have advantages and disadvantages here in this one. So there's nothing clear-cut that you have to think of a clock for either team to be like, hey, hang on a second, be careful because the enemy could hit late game.
Usually when you've got 2 Guardians, it makes your late game pretty difficult to deal with just because of the amount of disruption and tankiness that they can both bring to the table, especially 2 Guardians that are as good in the late game as Terra and Fafnir. You just get so much HP from Terra's ultimate in the late game, that movement speed, of course, and having to not use any mana for your ability cast.
Sure.
And then that Coerce buff just gets better and better as the game goes on. Once Jigz goes up into that dragon form, he's going to be able to apply that Coerce to everyone on the team.
That's true.
And the higher level you are, the more damage you're doing with that increased attack speed.
The benefit of EUnited, though, is the amount of control they have with these gods as the game goes on. Every single one of them has forms of crowd control that will be very impactful in the fights. SoaR, on the other hand, have the Ra, have the Rama, not going to be the real ones to peel for themselves too well, other than that of Calde. Right inside, though, speed buff has spawned, and SoaR are looking to get that for themselves before the aggression from EUnited, which is invested on fineokay.
But there's his ultimate. Varizial has the purification beads and gets out of that Raw Snipe from Andinster up into the sky, and he's not going to fall down to the damage out of Homie.
Varizial will indeed leave this fight. Vetium, however, is rotated all the way to the right-hand side there, leaving PandaCat for a bit of free farm here and some free tower push onto the tier 1 tower. EUnited, recognizing this, are just looking to fall back and not give up too much. Tier 1 will fall for free.
Vetium also uses ultimate, so PandaCat's going to know that he's got a pretty good opportunity to solo the enemy hunter. We saw Vetium use that Astral Barrage earlier on to try and save his own life.
Bit of pressure onto PainDeViande and Khaos there, but Pain recognized it and leapt away as Jigz leapt over the wall there, looking for some additional damage. Gold Fury available, Oracle's due to come up. SoaR will not be happy about losing a tier 1 for free, that's for sure.
500 gold, not the end-all be-all, but you're right, probably not going to like it too much. It's going to push EUnited's lead to about 1,500. That experience difference above 3,000, a little bit scarier than that slight gold lead.
Oracle started by SoaR here, Pain on zone G, trying to get involved, but already the Oracles are dead, and immediately EUnited have to disengage, as do SoaR, happy with the victory they got there.
But look at where the experience difference really is. The solo lane is the biggest one, and they're not really worried about that, SoaR, because you put Terra for fineokay. He knows he's going to lose the laning phase. He knows he's going to fall behind. It's about how much he can impact the mid to late.
Gold Fury started up by SoaR Gaming here, down to half health, and nobody on the side of EUnited seems to recognize this. PandaCat has an inkling, but he's just going to be there too late as the snipe rains through from Andinster. That's good enough to pick up the kill, and Benji's teleport is just too late.
Jigz is stunned out by that driving strike, but Khaos going to eat that Death Scythe right there, taking him down to 2/3 HP.
And now EUnited with Thor in the jungle on the left-hand side. Varizial's thinking about going in here, but with no minions, a quick clear from Andinster relieves the pressure immediately. However, in the jungle, fineokay, I believe he just teleported in to try and support mid lane there, and instead he had to be very careful about getting away.
Stun onto Jigz, does have his ultimate available, but might not be able to get it off. There's a Terra's Blessing, but the dunk down from Varizial is good.
The boulder was better too to force Homiefe to the sky, and Vetium as well. And he picks up Varizial off the back of that, which is important as Homie goes in on PandaCat. The problem is Homiefe surrounded by 3, and the damage from Khaos joins PandaCat to pick it up. And he gets some damage off into Khaos, but he'll Aegis away back to safety, and Vetium will live as well.
Benji level 16, stunned underneath the tower. The heal is good though. Snipe onto PandaCat hits, but not quite enough damage.
Panda will limp away 4-4 now. Gold is very, very close between the two after this game. And only 17 minutes in, still anyone's ball game here.
Without a doubt. Homiefe just a little bit too aggressive, lands down with that hovering death. onto a full health PandaCat who just drops the ice right on his feet, and Homie goes sliding around, doesn't get a chance to use purification beads. Either way, EUnited come out on top ever so slightly in that
There's
fight.
a big difference in mid lane though, Aggro, in terms of net worth. You can see that on the left-hand side of your screen here. Look at where Ra is compared to that of Agni. There is a decent amount of lead. It's not enough for a full item just yet, but he's continuing to grow.
About 500 gold at this stage, and it allows Andinster to get that ever-important ethereal staff online a little bit earlier than Khaos can get any defense. But Khaos more worried about the offense. Went for the Spear of the Magus.
Yeah, that Spear is going to do a lot of work this game as well. Spear did recently get buffed in this patch, so a lot more options available for those mages in mid lane in terms of being able to get consistent penetration online.
And it also helps out PainDeViande because it's stripping away some of that innate magical protection.
Sure.
That from the aura of Gauntlet of Thieves as well. Pain on this Bacchus can certainly do a lot of damage if the enemy doesn't have any magical protection.
That last little skirmish we saw between the two as well, I was so surprised how much of an investment EUnited put into Jigz. Jigz had even ult there as well. He was trying his best to hold on to it, and that seemed to be what EUnited were really after.
There's the flop onto Homie, forces out his ultimate. Varizial gonna follow him up into the sky. Jigz this time gets a chance to use his ultimate, but Varizial still haven't found a target.
Well, he's looking to come down and was Varizial, but Jigz manages to juke that one out for the time being. Wall doesn't find Vetium either, and so EUnited have to go away, but Jigz wants to dive in and go onto Benji. Benji's not scared of a good old tussle, though, in that fight. Homiefe is very low there. The snipes from Vetium were trying to keep PandaCat at bay, and it did work enough. The bomb over the wall will lower Jigz even more, but Jigz is still alive.
And Benji finally finds the first kill. Benji leading the charge under the tower. Varizial teleports forward and finds Vetium.
And Benji is still full health with the thorns will reflect the damage back. Andinster can't find the damage over the wall. Pressure for EUnited on the mid lane now, allowing Khaos and PandaCat to chip away at the tier 1 tower.
Just two grouped up there for SoaR in that jungle, and not enough focus fire. The snipe from Andinster didn't hit home onto Khaos, and they're attacking the most mobile character on EUnited that stage, on the Agni, because Benji was just so far in front, level 18. SoaR knows they can't really kill him effectively unless he's like the last one alive.
And teams with Raws do want to try and group up on the defense to heal back up again. The problem is that heal is actually a beacon for Khaos to drop a bomb on, followed by a stun to set up multiple people in an awkward position. Same for PainDeViande to just flop in as well. And that man on your screen right there, Benji, he could just hit that Earthbreaker, and then there's real trouble.
The boulder also tore right through that narrow little corridor. You're right. I mean, you want to group up a little bit when you're playing with a Ra on your team, but not at that stage. Varizial was looking for something in the mid lane, but no one home.
A little bit too early on that one, especially with the tier 1 tower being down as well. They were hoping to see one approaching the wave at the same time. Of SoaR 6-4 at 20 minutes in. Gold lead is in the United's favor. The second Gold Fury is definitely important here with the Portal Demon being down as well. This Gold Fury, if it goes to be United, this league could start to get out of control.
Without a doubt, and again, but this experience difference is mostly on to Benji, right around 4,000. Benji was at level 18 in that last engagement, while fineokay was only level 17. Benji still only level 18 at this stage, so
19.
Only
19.
Only 19 at 20 minutes, no big deal. And look at the damage dealers. Like Homiefe is 14 compared to Benji's 19. How do you do damage to a Hercules that's 5 levels above you?
And the problem, like I always saw with the Hercules pick, was where are they going to be able to kill him with? Yes, Homiefe can execute, but you've got to get him that low in the first place and hope to high heaven that the heal doesn't come through before he lands.
And not only that, but the 40% execute threshold we always mention is only at level 20. That's only when Hovering Death is maxed out. That threshold goes up as you level it. So right now, Homie's not going to be able to execute Benji until he's very, very low.
Probably like another 6 minutes, I'll say, till he is level 20, if things work out in SoaR's favor for Homiefe to get to that level as well. Keep an eye on that as time goes on, though, because it does make Benji a little bit more easy to deal with. We're talking about Hercules here, who hasn't actually gone this time round for the Shield of Regrowth.
Not yet, but that could be the final item there after he completes what's likely to be either a Spirit's Robe or a Mantle of Discord. He's far enough ahead right now that could work out, and there's quite a bit of CC between the Terra and the Fafnir.
Well, talking about being ahead, EUnited are in the lead right now. They're going to start up the Gold Fury. SoaR on the way in. Gold Fury's already getting low. Vetium here. Jigz on the forefront first of all. Vetium has to roll away, worried about Benji going in. The engagement is onto Jigz right now, but round the back comes fineokay.
Stun on the Varizial right there, and Khaos has to turn tail and run. Jigz up into that dragon form, but Varizial goes up into the envelope on himself.
Love the positioning from Andinster around the back. Benji's dead. Vetium gets credit for the kill. Homiefe goes straight to Varizial as he tried to collapse on the Andinster. Now Varizial's going to run from the sniper and Vetium, and that's a double for the Hunter out of SoaR.
What a turnaround there for SoaR. Benji apparently is able to die in the middle of 5 members. Vetium with the pinpoint accuracy in the mid lane as well. Big double kill, but a bigger Gold Fury goes the way of SoaR. Gold lead now in their favor.
Only just though, and this keeps the game even. We mentioned how important killing Benji would be, and they managed to do that. Not only did they get the goal, but SoaR have pressure on this tier 1 as well.
And again, it's just too much focus onto Jigz from EUnited. Every ability in the beginning of these fights is going into the Guardian, and that's bad enough usually by the 22, 23 minute mark. But it's Fafnir. He can just go into that E-immune during his ultimate transformation and then turn the fight around.
Portal Demon also going to go the way of SoaR. So not only tier 1, not only Gold Fury, but the Portal Demon gives him an even bigger swing as well. This is what happens in the team fights. If it doesn't go your way and you have to go back to base, without the sustain on the United side, they had no other option.
Vetium, top of his team in the player damage. He's got the chin size, and it's no surprise that SoaR start to win these team fights whenever he's got the ability to shred through Benji. That Executioner was done in that last team fight. Now he's got some extra penetration coming as well.
There is so much you could talk about from that Gold Fury fight though, but for me the big standout was Andinster's positioning over the wall, not grouped with his team, miles away in terms of distance to make sure they couldn't initiate on him and his team at the same time, but close enough to allow Homiefe and his team to reinforce when Varizial came down, provided sustain. Don't forget those protections do come into play from the healing.
Without a doubt, and he's got a lot of health right now anyways with that ethereal staff, and he's got that Dynasty Plate Helm to give him some extra protection whenever he's standing in that Solar Blessing. So really, really strong build coming out of Andinster, and you're right. The timing for Homiefe to come down and peel for Andinster with that hovering death, forcing Varizial out, was really, really well timed.
Fire Giant on the right hand side was looked at for a second. There was a cheeky play, I think, coming out from Benji and PandaCat looking to just two-man that Fire Giant for a moment. But fineokay, so he sniffed that out just in time.
Luckily, because this is what EUnited got really their role going with way back when on enemy was
cheeky steals,
cheeky objectives, Gold Furies, Fire Giant, things of that nature. And now that we're at Season 4, I think a lot of teams just look across the way and say, oh, Pain's on the other team. Let's check objectives more often than usual.
Well, a bit of patience on the map from both teams right now because there's not too much for them to contest over. The Oracles, sorry, the left-hand harpies, I should say, go in the way of Vetium right now. So he's just continue to farm up level 19 for both the Hunters, and that's when we can start to look towards the Hunters to be the real carries of this game.
PandaCat's got a lot of damage so far, right around 12,000. Vetium not quite there in terms of his damage numbers, but it's just how big that double kill was for Vetium to set up all these objectives. Vetium has done a much better job in terms of doing effective damage, at least in the last team fight.
Right hand side, Vetium's now swung over to this side just to continue farming up. The pressure on the map has been relieved in the duo lane now, so attention will be more focused towards the Fire Giant side, and that's one of the reasons why I think we saw Benji and PandaCat looking for it a little bit earlier, because they realized that as well.
And look at this swap. fineokay is now in the left side because, like you mentioned, the pressure is going to be on the right. Just allow him to continue to farm, hit level 20, get these items going, and put pressure and make EUnited make a decision. He's got his teleport ready to go in case a fight breaks out.
And the best news is because you are Terra, even though you're not at the fight immediately, the Wrath of Terra will be when you pop that, so it gives you an extra window of an extra help. Jigz under pressure again from EUnited, being focused, but tension switch to Homiefe. He's chipped down as Varizial goes up relatively early in this engagement, looking to continue it.
But the teleport in from fineokay dissuades from Varizial from any further aggression. A couple ultimates used there by SoaR, but they also used the purification beads out of Homiefe.
The big key there was getting fineokay's teleport and the Wrath of Terra down on cooldown, making sure that they couldn't continue the split push opportunity. That engage from EUnited wasn't really looking for the all-in, it was trying to force it.
Either way, SoaR going to be able to back up after that one. Like I mentioned, though, that beads from Homiefe is going to be a big talking point. Doesn't have any other way to get out of these stuns from Khaos, Varizial, Benji, Pain, PandaCat. Like you mentioned, every member of EUnited has some CC in their kit, and that's going to make Homiefe's job that much harder.
EUnited in position around the Fire Giant, now clearing out wards, looking to set up a decent defense and trying to channel them through the gap where Pain is as per usual. Speed buff is about to spawn, and with Benji on the front side for EUnited here, it's created a window for EUnited to swing to the right-hand side to look at this tier 1.
Pain looking for the stun on the fineokay, but can't quite close the gap in time. Jigz, again, was the focus in that last team fight and was forced to transform pretty early. Now that Jig's ultimate is on cooldown, this is a decent opportunity for EUnited to invest in the support.
Well, they're going to get the tier 1 on the right-hand side. Varizial was there quick enough and on his own just to be able to pick that one up. And if he gets in trouble, he can do this. Oh, no, I thought he was going to the sky there for a second. Tell a lie. He gets away.
He doesn't have it there. He does have the Magi's Blessing, which was popped, but saved his purification beads. fineokay does force him back to base, though, with how low he is. While Benji has a lot of sustain in his kit, Varizial really needs to rely on a meditation, but there's none available for EUnited. 2 meditations for SoaR, none thus far for EUnited.
Fire Giant dance now in favor of SoaR as they have the war control here. They don't want to try and start it up because you can see Pain and Benji just sat there waiting. It's one of these standoffs now between the two teams because they both realize this Fire Giant is so important.
Pushed up pretty far, fineokay, but again, he's level 20, has that Spirit's Robe online now as well. Definitely a strong pickup, and I love this Rod of Asclepius onto fineokay in this situation.
Into the sky goes Varizial early on because on the Gold Fury was Vetium right there with Homiefe, and Homie's one hit from death. He got knocked into the air, but the heal comes through. When he gets to the top, no, the boulder from downtown.
Squishes him down. Now Pain in a little bit of trouble. No dash. The snipes coming in from Vetium. Only hits 2 out of 3. Jigz pretty far forward still, but plucked back by Benji.
And the body box from Caldera and Benji are good, and the permafrost pulled him back as well. Still, Jigz will get away with the lead. Pain, a little bit low, a little bit too far forward there. EUnited not wanting to commit to the Gold Fury. They're heading down towards the right-hand side.
Again, it goes down. Purification not up for Homiefe. He's the one standing right on top of the Gold Fury. Great dunk there by Varizial.
Big play for them. Now they're going to look at the Portal Demon here is the big key for them. It can start to siege up the Fire Giant based off that if they do manage to get this. But SoaR here to contest.
Oh, almost. There's snipe coming through. Almost hits PandaCat. Almost kills him. It does hit him, but SoaR get the Portal Demon.
Big win for SoaR there, especially with Homiefe being dead in that little skirmish, and now they're going to have an advantage. They wanted the gold, they get Portal, and they may even manage to pick up Benji in mid.
Homiefe's teleported in using that portal and allows him to find the execute onto Benji. That objective steal comes up huge right away for SoaR.
And now it's a lot of pressure on PainDeViande, on Khaos to help defend the Fire Giant. If SoaR start this up, they're going to take a quick trip back to base, buy some items, more wards, and use that portal before it disappears.
Really smart plays coming out from SoaR right now. Benji just a little bit too far forward, and again, once Ram gets these items online, he can shred through Hercules.
Fire Giant started, fineokay on zone duty, gonna root out PainDeViande to begin with. Pain's still gonna be able to get in range though, has flop available. Varizial to the sky, gonna force SoaR to drop the Fire Giant.
He's looking at Vetium, but Vetium's up in the sky himself, up in Astral Barrage. Snipes going down onto Varizial for the moment. Pain locked in place right now by fineokay. Great wall coming out of Varizial, blocks off SoaR's advance.
PandaCat coming around the back here looking to pressure, but realizing that nobody's really here to support him, he has to back away too. Talk about backing away, Varizial's on the run in the jungle at the same time. Homiefe can smell him in the jungle with that scent of death.
So low, Varizial gonna try and get out, but Vetium won't let him. Homiefe with the hovering death, it wasn't even needed. EUnited lose Varizial early on again. That's his 5th death.
But it does allow Benji to get back online and start to be a frontliner again against this Fire Giant. SoaR have started it up, and Benji just showing presence here is making it awkward for SoaR to take this for free.
No stun on a Jigz, that bomb stun misses. Vetium pulls off the Fire Giant and turns his attention towards Vetium.
Vetium's in a lot of trouble there, has to ages away from the storm coming out from PandaCat. Into the sky goes Vetium looking to clean up Khaos, but Khaos gets away in time. Instead, they have to invest into Benji, who's still alive. Boulders, though, and he's still in trouble.
fineokay cleans up Khaos. Andinster's gonna find Benji as well. Vetium cleaned up, though, by PandaCat on the backside, who comes around with a nice flank there. That's a big kill for EUnited because that really hurts their objective damage in terms of trying to secure this Fire Giant.
Especially with PandaCat still being healthy on the map, too. If he comes in there, he can wail away on them as well. The sustain will come in, so are going to stop the Fire Giant still here. Have coerced to try and increase some of the damage output they can do. They do have Homiefe there as well, so they're not all doom and gloom when it comes to physical damage.
Terra's Blessing popped by fineokay as all of SoaR starts screaming down this jungle. There's the dunk down onto PandaCat. Andinster's going to be able to find him.
Varizial came in trying to support Panda, but he's too little too late. Panda's already off the map. Varizial has to delete himself back to the fountain one more time, as does Pain. And on top of that, it's not going to be a Fire Giant for SoaR now. They're just going to be able to get the blue buff for now and have to rethink what they do next.
I don't know. I feel like if they would have just immediately gone towards the Fire Giant, they might have been able to take it there. Without knowing that Varizial and Pain had backed, however, they did not feel comfortable trying to grab the objective. Instead, it's going to be the Gold Fury for SoaR, trying to get a couple more of those late-game items. But Vetium's already finished his build. He completed it with a Rage. Andinster has that Rod of Tahuti online. Really, Homiefe is the only one who needs to finish off his last item along with fineokay.
And with that Gold Fury going down, it's the first time I believe we've seen 5k gold lead in this game so far. Both these teams, winner of this one game that's remaining, will go to Masters to face off international play and represent North America.
But they're not done yet. Whoever wins this one still has to play Team Rival for seeding. Rival already punching their ticket to the Masters LAN by ending Energy's LAN winning streak. Loser of this game, their spring split isn't done quite yet. They've still got a best of 3, but it's against the defending world champs.
Which is Energy, surprisingly enough, in the losers finals here today. Fire Giant still available, we keep talking about it, but the Gold Fury going down means that all pressure is really on this right-hand side again. I wouldn't be too surprised to see fineokay drift back towards that duo lane to once again provide the pressure he started off doing.
The teleport is up, as is his ultimate. It wouldn't be a bad plan. Certainly worked out the first time around.
Looking at the level leads between the two, is not much to really talk about now. Most people are starting to approach level 20. Khaos still hasn't hit there, and Ra's been there for a little while.
Andinster has really had a strong game. The snipes haven't been quite as highlight worthy as they usually are for his Ra, but his positioning has been beautiful thus far. 3-0 and 5, and I like this idea, but go for a Magi.
Varizial straight to the sky. Fire Giant reset for a second by SoaR. They have aggro for a second, but they're not continuing to whale damage onto it.
He's gonna find Vetium with the dunk and immediately pop the Aegis and turn and try to run away. Benji trying to handle fineokay on the front side, but Vetium pumping out damage from the back.
And now Vetium's got to stay very far back with that ultimate being down now, investing that early on, thinking that his team had people at a lower health bar, would have allowed Homiefe to look for an execute. This time around, not available.
This double sustain, though, between the Terra and the Ra, difficult for EUnited to punch through. Portal Demon respawns with only Benji up a little bit without the boulder too. Impossible for him to get in there.
Also a little bit surprised by the fact we don't have a single meditation on EUnited against the likes of a Thanatos is very surprising to me.
Without a doubt, I was very surprised by that as well.
Let's have a listen to SoaR as they look for this Fire Giant. Apologies for that, still not going to go to the competition, but the snipe out from Andinster hit PandaCat, and he's on the run. Homiefe will clean him up as well. Now with that, it's going to allow Homiefe to disengage on the right-hand side, but PainDeViande's in trouble as well.
Stunned out by Jigz, up into the sky. Vetium's going to need all 3 here, I think, but only hits 1. Homiefe very low, but is going to have some sustain available to him once he comes back to the team.
SoaR going to head back towards the Fire Giant again. fineokay on PO duty, but Benji's on the front lines once more. Homie's quite low here, has to be careful of the boulder, which comes out there, but Benji's getting invested a lot into. He's CC'd in place. He's trying to run. The Thorns will not buy him enough time to get away from the amount of damage coming through. No sustain available.
fineokay is able to find that last hit. Varizial was looking for a target, but can't quite find a good one, despite Vetium being somewhat low in mana.
And now SoaR can just go back towards the Fire Giant one more time. Pain is here, as is Varizial and Khaos, so they have the damage to steal this away. But can they get in range?
So close, but the snipe secures it from Andinster. Pain in a bad spot now. He's going to fall to Vetium, who picks up his 4th kill.
And Homiefe hovered in the air, waited for Khaos to use their dash, and then immediately dunked onto him. The follow-up stun is there from the crushing walls from Terra. And with that, the tier 2 tower will fall as well. SoaR in control of this final game.
And that looks like the right side Phoenix might as well. All 5 members still completely healthy. No ultimates available to SoaR, but you can say the same thing for EUnited. No way to defend their Phoenix.
Phoenix will fall on the right-hand side, and SoaR are going to go straight in here. Are they going to actually try and end? No, they thought better of it all of a sudden. I thought that was a little bit too much for a second.
It's just Benji's respawn timer coming up is the main thing that dissuades them from trying to end in that situation. Pain still at about 15 seconds, and Khaos over 30 at that stage, but with 3 members up, and look at all the towers that are up on the map as well. They've got, EUnited still has 2 duo lane towers and a tier 2 in the mid lane. That Titan would have been simply too tanky.
Can we take a little look at healing done here? I can see there's a lot of anti-heal on the side of EUnited, but just look at the amount of sustain that SoaR has compared to that of EUnited, with not even a single meditation, which I do want to point out again. Look at how many heals they've got.
Between all 3 of those members, the meditations and the Terra heal and the Solar Blessing, that's over 3,500 500 healing. And look at the player damage. The top one in the game, that's PandaCat, only 24,000. That's a lot of damage that is just erased that EUnited's been doing. And again, I'm so surprised because Pain has been the only support that has really been refusing to pick up this meditation early on. Basically every support, unless there is some sort of extraneous circumstances. We saw Jigz pick up Shell at level 1, but that's because of Jean-Qui. I mean, meditation has been the pick for basically every support all split long at level 1, except for Pain.
And I'm not too worried about him not getting at level 1. I look at the fact that they do have a Thanatos they're against, and one thing that Thanatos loves is when you get in threshold range, he's going to kill you. Unless you've got Aegis up, you need a meditation to try and bring you back out of it and potentially turn it around.
And the Shell here that Pain picked up after the sprint, I just don't think it's that impactful in this particular matchup.
There's not much burst, is there?
Burst is decent out of the raw snipe and the Vetium snipes. It really helps in that situation, but not a lot of AoE, which is what Shell really excels at defending.
SoaR looking for their second Phoenix now. fineokay on the front lines will get aggro originally. Varizial gets a good double tap off onto Homiefe, forcing him back, and that ultimate will do even more.
There's the dunk down from Varizial, but Terra's blessing was already up from fineokay. Jigz pops that Magi's blessing off of Varizial, but Benji almost pushes Vetium under tower.
The root is good onto Benji though, and he's stuck in place for a moment or two, forced to boulder to try and peel himself back out, and will do so. fineokay is getting very, very low.
Oh, this snipe doesn't quite hit PandaCat, but Homie's gonna be able to find him anyways. Number 5 for the jungler for SoaR has to back up out of this Phoenix. Jigz tanking it up, but both Varizial and Khaos have to use their Aegis.
Pain's dead, so is Khaos. Varizial's back in the fountain. The Phoenix falls now, and the game could be done. SoaR Gaming are going to be the team that meets rival in the final set of the day after defeating EUnited.
It wasn't easy. Game 1, EUnited really took it to SoaR, but Game 2 was really clean. Game 3, much more back and forth, but well played out of SoaR. Like you mentioned at the beginning of this set, this is a team that I think a lot of people really expected to come out of the top of North American Gauntlet, and they got what they were looking for.
I never really felt in that set that EUnited pressured them in the final game anyway. In the final game, I never felt EUnited really had any sort of pressure in that game whatsoever. Yeah, they controlled the right-hand side of the start, but since then, that's all it was.
That's true. I mean, PandaCat did a lot of damage, but it never seemed to really burst anybody down outside of Vetium whenever Vetium was by his blue buff. I don't know. I agree with you. They had a lot of pressure on the right-hand side. Khaos on the Agni never really seemed to get the ball rolling. It was a difficult set there, at least the last 2 games for EUnited.
Well, EUnited still have one more opportunity left. They're going to have to play again right now against Energy.
Good luck, man. That's tough.
Throwback to some of the fantastic performances we've seen from those 2 teams going at it. So we get to see that again, which is kind of cool.
Season 2 Worlds, I mean, Pain and Khaos up against those guys. They definitely, this is a great opportunity for them to get some revenge.
But anyway, let's head over to the desk to break down that entire set, and specifically the final game we saw.
SoaR are your North American champions here for at least the Gauntlet. And they're going to go ahead and find their way at the Masters. Congratulations to them and all the effort that they put forward. EUnited didn't make it easy, though. I think the casters did a good job of saying how Game 1 was easily in one direction, Game 2 was easily in the other direction, and then Game 3, a little bit more in the middle. Nice back and forth we had there.
The EUnited and SoaR Gaming were both shaking it up quite a lot in that last matchup, where you could tell that SoaR wanted to try and find the upper hand early on, but Homiefe actually ended up falling a couple levels behind to Varizial, only then to have the rest of the team play pick me up, and that's exactly what SoaR did. They came together and just kept contesting, and I think that was probably the most important aspect, was they made sure to maintain their confidence and composure.
Yeah, SoaR did a really good job soloing that game. I honestly thought there was a point where EUnited, like, it wasn't like a big lead, but I'm just like, there's a 2-level lead here, even though Homie has kills, and I think it was Varizial was 0-2. And I'm just like, if they're just out farming this hard, if they can just do it, and if they get every kill, it's just going to snowball out of control. SoaR really did a good job preventing any of that ever happening.
That's a really tough thing to do. You just create that stop, and you don't let the momentum go the other direction. And you know what was interesting to me was that Thanatos pick that I was not as excited about it as I might have seemed towards the beginning, but at the end of the day, it wasn't a bad pick. It didn't really do what it needed to do in the beginning, but come the mid and the late game, we really saw the Thanatos.
Especially around the level 7 mark, and here's a perfect example, just immediately waiting for and trusting that the damage would come from the rest of his team to put EUnited into the execute threshold just for the easy cleanups for Homiefe.
Yeah,
I think Homiefe actually immune like 2 to 3 Bacchus flops this game. You actually saw it in the previous clip where he actually just pretty much stopped all initiation in it because one of their few engages were Thor and Bacchus flop, and I believe Thor got baited that fight earlier.
Yeah, it's one of the big things about the Thanatos. You can look towards the EUilis to sort of shut down the Bacchus, but Thanatos can, like you said, sort of do a similar scenario. And also, you're shutting down the burp. You're shutting down some of what Thor does as well. So a win for SoaR is a win for the team going to Masters. They doubled the amount of kills that EUnited wound up with. And of course, if you look across the way, a lot of damage mitigated as well.
And we touched on it right as the game was starting, where we were all just talking about a large reason why this game was as close as it was is because everybody was on a comfort pick except for maybe PainDeViande, who he's still comfortable on the Bacchus. By no means is it like foreign to him, but it's not, you know, an Athena or even the Kepri, but every single player was on a pick that they felt very confident on, and it was obvious.
I really thought this one was going to go the way of EUnited because of that, but across the way, Andinster, one more time, hard carry for his team. I mean, this series is playing on the Ra again, and this is just what the man does.
The stat you saw earlier, actually, and I think SoaR had 32k healing, and EUnited only had 90k player damage. I'm actually curious to how much healing Andy did in that 32k, because that's a third of the damage just completely gone.
Right down the middle. There it is. There's the ultimate. Love those plays. That one I actually got right. Last time I said boom and he hit nobody. So this time I got it one. There it is.
Oh, wow. That
Andy with
is
the healing.
Insane.
Yeah. That's probably a player or two on EUnited.
Even Jigz's healing is like pretty nutty.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, you're averaging about 2,000 HP, right? So, yeah, he saved like a whole bunch of players there. Andinster just keeping the team alive. And what's exciting is that not only is he doing that, but he's also one of the more offensive characters on the team. Like, where does the man stop?
Yeah, he
doesn't.
He set up a lot of Homiefe executes. It was pretty much Bacchus jump, or not Bacchus jump, Fafnir would jump stun or Fafnir hammer, would snipe, Homie would then realize his execute range and would just land.
and that was probably what ended up favoring SoaR in the long run, was just how much more set up that they had for their mid laner to be able to secure, for Homiefe to be able to secure, and ultimately, just congratulations to SoaR. That was an excellent performance.
I'm glad you mentioned the setup, because that's who we have standing by. The setup man himself, Jigz, the support for SoaR next to Tolly.
Thank you, Tom. I'm here with the captain from SoaR Gaming, Connor Eccles, Jigz. I gotta ask you, first off, how good does it feel beating your former teammate, Benji, especially after he left you guys high and dry?
Feels good, man.
Feels really good, man, for Jigz and the rest of SoaR. Winning that match now puts you in the Masters. How do you guys feel now?
We're feeling really confident. We, since LG and Eager didn't go to this LAN, we've spent a lot of our time practicing against them, so a lot of the stuff we've put together was stuff we practiced and had success with against us.
It seems like you guys struggled a little bit in the beginning of the split because you guys were against Eager, against Luminosity, then that unfortunate week 3, obviously. But now, after that bye week, it seems like you guys definitely turned it on.
Yeah. I mean, we picked up fineokay. He's a great guy. He's a great player. Has all the talent in the world, and it just all meshed.
It seems like you guys have some great absolute synergy there. Yeah. And how do you guys think, though, after this set that we're going to see EUnited versus Energy next in the wild card? Do you think there's any hope for EUnited in that one?
Yeah, I do. I think they're a really strong team, and I don't know, Energy just seems a little off right now, so I think they could definitely take it.
Well, a little off was actually your game 1 draft, and you know I got to ask you about that one. You had no peels. You had the Odin frontline with Kuzenbo and Amaterasu. I feel like you kind of left Vetium and Andinster high and dry.
Yeah, well, we hate winning game 1s. We like to get stomped as hard as possible and then, like, you know, make it hard.
That seems to be the reoccurring theme as the final bosses. They win the first game in the Gauntlet, but then they lose the next 2. So SoaR Gaming is going to be your basically North America in the Masters. Congratulations, Jigz. How do you guys feel that you're going to do against Rival, though, in your set?
I don't know. I mean, when you think about prepping against like the European team at LAN like this, you think, oh, of course, we're playing Energy if we go all the way, right? So we've actually spent almost no time looking at Rivals, so I don't know, we'll just have to see.
Well, now you guys have some time to look over the tapes from Arrival, and we're going to be looking at the wild card matchup next. But before we go ahead and throw it to the desk, is there any shout-outs you want to give?
Yeah, shout-outs to our sponsor for sticking with us when the first few weeks were rough. They were super supportive. They're actually here, and huge shout outs to fineokay for coming from the Challenger Cup and then carrying us at Lance.
Great play by Jigz, the captain from SoaR Gaming, and the rest of his teammates. We're going to have the wild card match, and we're going to throw it to the desk right now.